Well, I'm doing something that I love doing, and it's something that I first did as a child, paper marbling. My sister and I saw something on TV once, and we were so intrigued that we ran around the house and gathered the supplies. We had some acrylic paint. We used one of my mom's discarded cake trays. We set up in the basement, and we marbled some paper, and we were just thrilled that it actually worked. It was, I'll never forget that first experience. She and I were just in awe of this process, and that never left me, the fascination that came from this marbling paper. So just a few years ago, I thought I would try it again, but I would use professional equipment. And I did my research. I got some books, some actual books. I read about the process. I watched a bunch of videos. And then I just sat up in my room and I started marbling paper. There is a video that I made with HGTV Home, the YouTube channel, and it's a very long, thorough video on how to do this. So if you're interested in trying it yourself, check out that video. There's also so much more on YouTube. But today I thought it would be fun to just let you watch. This was something that I did in my apartment. It was kind of complicated, this setup, initially. And then I went to Florence one summer and I met a wonderful bookbinder, Marco Diodati, who introduced me to his aunt, Tia Letitia. And Letitia carries on the family tradition of marbling the paper that they use in binding their books. So when I went over to Tia Letitia, there's a video about that on my channel as well, she showed me a technique that was a lot simpler than what I was doing. She used acrylic paint, and that's the main difference. I was using kind of watercolor paint that required a lot of fiddling around with in order to make it spread. But Letitia used acrylic paint, and that's actually what I'm using today. In Florence, before I left, I went to the art store and I bought the paints that they recommended for paper marbling, and I bought mainly primary colors. So from these primary colors, I mixed, you can kind of mix any color if you have the primaries in black and white. So I mixed a bunch of colors. I've been doing this for a few days, puttering around and playing. And yesterday I did my first tests, prints they're called. When you pull it out of the bath, it's called a print. And I wasn't really happy with what the colors looked like. I thought the colors would come out a certain way, and then after I printed the paper, I was like, I don't like this. These were my first attempts. This was the very first sheet that I did. And this just felt very 80s and felt very modern. The pink I really didn't like. The yellow was just too bright. The pink, the yellow, the blue, they all just felt too psychedelic and too modern. That's the only way that I can describe this. So I did another print. I ran a comb through the paper and a stylus, and I sort of swirled it around. And I let these dry, and I thought I'm just going to sleep on it and look at it again with fresh eyes in the morning. So I did, and I thought, I think I know what I need to do. I need to change the colors, the pink, and I need to change the yellows, just sort of tone everything down and mute it. The look that I was going for, what inspires me are the papers produced in like the 18th and 17th centuries. The paper is used for end papers in books from that time period. And every time I see old examples of marbled paper, 200-300-year-old examples, I think, wow, like these colors work so well together. I mean, it really is an art, knowing how to use the colors. So I just sort of started augmenting my colors, mixing them to tone them down, eliminating some, like I got rid of that pink, and I printed some this morning, and I'm very happy. So this is the one from this morning, and it's so different than my first attempt. So I'm just playing today And this is the sort of thing that I just, like, you can get lost in this. You start, and it's so meditative, watching these colors spread, and then I'm learning by watching what's happening, and then I try something else the next time. Eliminate some colors, add other colors, move it around in a certain way, use a different sequence of how the colors go on. There are so many varying factors in producing these prints. So yeah, you can just watch. I'm gonna start. Oh, I'm just gonna show you a failed attempt. One of the things that Letitia was very specific about was how to put the paper down onto the bath, and she did warn me, like, it's tricky, especially with a large sheet of paper. So she showed me, and I got the hang of it, but this morning I was a little clumsy. I wasn't thinking, and as I was putting the paper down, it slipped, and this is what happened. So, fail. However, there are parts of this that I could still use. So I'm not going to throw this away. I will cut it up and use it for something. Boo-boo! It's fine. It's part of the process, making mistakes. Take chances, make mistakes, try, try, try. The bath, that's what it's called, bath. Has to be cleaned off between each printing. So that's what I'm doing here. Just skimming off any excess paint that's sitting on the surface with a bit of newspaper. There are so many videos on YouTube on how to do this. There's actually a great one by someone in Canada. Four Arts, I think. I will put a link to that video in the description of this video. It's a fantastic tutorial on paper marbling. Very thorough if you want to try this at home. But if you're in Florence, if you happen to be in Florence, you can schedule a session with Zia Letitia. She is in Oltrarno at a bookbinding shop called Legatoria Santo Agostino. So, I'm just going to keep going. I'm having so much fun. I just feel, when I do stuff like this, I feel like a kid again. It's thrilling. If you're intrigued by this, try it. You don't have to have a big bath like this. You can use like when I was a kid, you can use a little cake tray and do small sheets of paper. But it doesn't require much. Kind of does. It kind of does. But once you're set up, it feels like it's not laborious. You have everything set up, and then you can just print, tap, 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 print. There are so many little details that affect the final design. One of them is the sequence in which the colors go on, because the colors spread differently. Some spread out a lot, some don't spread out very much. So that is part of what I am using to decide what to do here, what color to start with and what color to end with. So I'm just going to show you. I'm going to start with blue. And this first color, because it's going on to the clean size, it kind of disappears. It spreads out and you don't really see it. But you will see it once the other colors go on and push this blue and condense it. And I'm constantly learning as I do this what works, what doesn't work, what looks better. One of the things that I made a mental note of is use a lot of paint. It requires more paint than you think. And that's something that Letitia did in Florence. She really loaded the surface with paint, and it produced a paper that was rich. Okay, blue. The next color I'm going to use is yellow. Look at how that just blooms. That yellow really spreads. You see, as I put these other colors on, how it's pushing the earlier colors. Like now you can really see that navy blue, and it's pushing that yellow out of the way. I just find this thrilling. Did I use this one already? No. No, I did use this one. Dark gray. This is one of the basic patterns, if you could call it a pattern, where you put the paint on and you don't do anything else to it, and it is called stone. So it sort of just looks like marble, or it sort of emulates marble. And I'm watching to see what the paint is doing. If it doesn't spread as much, I hit harder. If it spreads a lot, I might not put as much force when I'm tapping. Now I want sort of very tiny spatters. I do see something on the surface. Okay. Hey boy. I think maybe really teeny tiny bit of blue, although the blue spreads a lot, so it might push too much. Yeah, too much. Just maybe in a couple of little places. Okay. And let's print this. Okay, so you don't just have to use white paper. You can use colored paper and it changes the final result. I do have a sheet of white paper here, but I have been using toned paper earlier. So this is what is tricky, is laying it down easily and gently. And I have Letitia's words in my head. Piano, 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 piano. And then, this is tricky. Oh, fuck. Hey, Jew. Ah! It's not bad. The colors have run a little bit. But you see the white? The white parts are the parts where there was no paint. And I saw that in the tray. And I love that. So it's not white paint, it's the white of the paper.